Simon Told Helen wins a half length. Zach Manelli second.
Welcome to Greyhound Gossip.
Peaky Blinders start cheering for Tommy Shelby wins the WA Sprint Championship final.
Featuring Peter O'Neill and Leia Ernest.
Mozza moves up to Mermaid Manelli. Fab's Gem 3 deep. Here comes Fab's Gem.
Hard Style Rico by 5 lengths to Simon Told Helen. Third Tommy Shelby.
This segment is dedicated to the discussion and promotion of greyhound racing.
Cindy's Oliver, Rockstar Patriot, Paul Stuart, back-to-back with Rockstar Patriot in the Galaxy.
Handsome Prince, a boulder clear. The former Tasmanian Handsome Prince has won the $1 million chase.
And a very good morning, everyone tuned in to Greyhound Gossip this Monday, and a very good morning to you, Peter O'Neill.
Leia, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. I'm out at Cannington again, early start at Northam, and I can see the team that have come across from the eastern states working with the Greyhounds WA staff on the new Safe Chase lure system that's going to be installed here at Cannington. It's worked well at Northam, and we'll see that in full operation in the coming weeks ahead. So looking forward to that, and it's exciting for WA Chasing because we're not too far away from the Mandurah track being closed down and some work being done there. But the last meeting for Northam today, and looking forward to the drive up into the Avon Valley.
And Pete, just to confirm, we are expecting the works at Mandurah around April after the Perth Cup, is that correct?
Yeah, after the Perth Cup, and obviously in the end of April, or the middle of April, we've got the running of the Sandgroper, and those slots will be announced, I believe, this week sometime. So looking forward to see who the slot holders are, but Mandurah will be closing down in the middle of next year. Speaking of Mandurah, we had the heats of the Express Stake on Friday. Really good competitive racing. West on Grit and the Chris Holmes-trained West on Cobra won the opening 2 heats, while Aston Casino for Terry Earnshaw caused an upset, defeating Launch Control in the 3rd heat. And you've got the box draw for the final?
I do, and Jesse Earnshaw, we were chatting down the line on the Friday as I was announcing, and he was calling all the action, and he was pretty stoked as Aston Casino's drawn box 1 again, as he did in the heat. Box 2, Glorious Gun. Box 3, we've got Horton Manelli. In box 4, Launch Control. Box 5, Robotnik. In the 6, West on Cobra. In box 7, West on Grid, and in box 8, Forward Scout with the reserve runners Let's Right and Exploded Ravioli.
The Western Casinos won 4 of 9 from box number 1, so I can see why they'd be excited in such a feature final like that. Speaking of feature finals, this Saturday night we have the final of the Young Stars. We had the early start, of course, on Saturday night with the Canning Show Cup and the fireworks after the last, so we had an early start, which I enjoyed, and I'm sure many of the punters would have enjoyed as well. There was a really good crowd on course, many of those filtering across from the showgrounds next door. But the Young Stars heats, Leia, Zipping Wilbur won for James Jeffries and was successful in the opening heat, first up in the state, and I think he can improve. He defeated Hinto, which was also a good run, had to overcome some early trouble. David Hobby dominated the heats with Bellotti Manelli winning the 2nd heat over another New South Wales chaser trained by James Jeffries in Keeping, sent across for this series. And then Lupini Manelli overcame box number 8 and defeated Couch Surfer, who was a huge run. He doesn't have that early speed, Couch Surfer. He can get into a little bit of trouble. He's got a big motor, though, and good to see him through to the final. And then the final heat, Lentil Manelli defeated Electrified. There was a little bit of trouble in the last heat, and so therefore the stewards have decided to hold off the box draw. There was a stewards' inquiry after the heats, and the box draw will take place on Tuesday at the Offices of Racing Wagering WA when the fields are drawn. So that will come out around about lunchtime, 1 o'clock on Tuesday. But speaking of Saturday night, the big Canning Show was right next door. There was lights. Once the sun went down, there was lights from the Ferris wheel and all the rides, and there was lots of kids on course seeing greyhound racing maybe for the first time. So they work well together, and we saw the running of the Canning Show Cup, $30,000 race, and a greyhound that was having his 50th start at Cannington was able to lead throughout. Let's go back and relive the replay of the Canning Show Cup from Saturday night. Racing. Rosterdorf came out quickly, also showing early speed on his outside was Windburn Burner. Rosterdorf's going to lead. Out 3 deep was Jimmy's Decision. Camped in behind them was Soda Seville, then followed by Pilbara. Well back, Columbus Manelli, Major Sacrifice, and Poppy Passion whips them in down the back. Rosterdorf is on the arm. Out by 3 lengths in second place, Jimmy's Decision. So Stuart 1-2 at the moment. Then followed by Soda Seville. In behind them, Windburn Burner and Major Sacrifice off the back. Rosterdorf still the leader by 2. Jimmy's Decision runs on in behind them. Next of all,
forwards. So does Seville as they swing. Rostered Off in front, and Rostered Off takes out the Canning Show Cup at start number 50 at Cannington. Second, So does Seville. Third across the line, Jimmy's Decision. Fourth across
He's
the
trained
line.
some stars, and he's just a wonder how he can get these greyhounds to perform on the big nights. And Rostered Off, who'd been knocking on the door, he won a 520-metre race going back 4 or 5 weeks prior, but he was able to lead throughout from box number 2. Rostered Off for Paul Stuart. And Paul joins us online this morning. Congratulations, Paul. First and third in the feature final there on Saturday night, and you must have been tickled pink to see Rostered Off lead throughout.
Yeah, morning, guys. Yeah, no, it was a very good effort for him. He's had a few injury problems going probably a few months back, so it was just good to see him get back to the track and then obviously to perform on Saturday night like he did. It was it was very satisfying to see, especially for a dog that's getting on in age, and he still butters up like he's a 2-year-old. So yeah, we're very happy with him.
He is getting a little bit older. He was whelped in January 2019, and I noticed in recent weeks, you can tell me when it actually happened, that Tim Mullaney organised a syndicate of owners called the Rostered On Syndicate. It's interesting that they purchased into a greyhound of this age, but they've got a quick return, and one of those was Gary Glidden, who was a former RAWA board member for the Greyhounds, and great to see him back involved in greyhound ownership again.
Yeah, exactly. Tim approached me probably, I think it must have been about June. He was actually originally bought basically to go to Darwin for the Darwin Cup. Tim hit me up about a month prior to that, and they organised with the owner, and they made a deal, and it was quite not good at the time. They purchased him on, say, the Monday, and then he raced for them for their first start on the Saturday night at Cannington over 600, and he won. But he actually pulled up lame. He done a stopper tendon in the catching pen after he won. So it's touch and go whether he was even going to make it back to the track. So at the time, it was probably a sour moment for the new owners, having him only for a week and he having sort of a career-threatening injury. But he ended up being not too bad from it. He's come back. He had a few months off, and obviously missed Darwin. So I just kept him here and got him back to track, and he's come back just as good as he ever sort of has. So, the dog's just done well just getting back to the track, and, let alone being competitive and obviously winning that race on Saturday night. So it was a good outcome for the owners, because it could have been a lot sour a few months earlier.
Well, that's good news, Paul. And he had a sensational run in the Canning Show Cup on Saturday. It was, however, his first look back over the 600 metres since about June, I believe it is. Did he have a trial prior to the final?
No, he just basically, because he come back from injury, I just got him back into work and just progressed through the distances with him. So he just sort of timed out that he was coming back, and I think it was a Mandurah Cup that was on over 490. So he went through that series, and then went to Cannington, had a 500, and then they had the All-Star series on at the same time. So he just basically, there was races for him over the shorter distance, and Saturday night was his sort of first 600 back, even though it's probably his best distance. We put him in over 500 the week prior, just because I was hoping he'd go well first up over the 600, so I didn't want to flatten him out too much the week prior. So he had already qualified. He was a top grade dog, so he was always going to guarantee the start. So I just kept him over the 500 until this race come up, being a one-off, and was hoping that he'd speared to the front, and that's exactly what he did.
He did indeed. He races predominantly at Cannington, Paul, but occasionally will race at Mandurah. Is this because of the races on offer, or more so for a freshen up?
Yeah, basically he just goes good at Cannington. He probably goes better there than he does at Mandurah. He's been down to Mandurah and won. He won a feature race over the 647 down there, I think, going back last year. He was predominantly a 500-plus metre dog, so there's obviously only the 647 down to Mandurah, and they get them one, only a couple of times a year. There's races that he's probably eligible for. So, basically he just stays over the 500 and 600 metres. He used to get 700 back, a year or so ago, but he just finds that on his limit. So, the dog just seems better off just going in between the 500 and 600s on a weekly basis. So we'll try and get a 600 metre for a race whenever he can, and if not, he'll just go around the 500s.
Paul, were you involved in the breeding of his litter?
No, I wasn't. I wish I could say I was, because there's a few good ones in that litter. But no, he was just sent over to here as I think probably 30 or 40 starts from Melbourne, and his form sort of dropped off a little bit. So he came over here, and he appreciated a bit of change of scenery and probably a bit of a step down in class compared to the Melbourne City class. So, and he's done well ever since.
I know you're sort of culling a bit of how many you taking in the kennel at the moment, possibly looking towards retirement. Is that correct of me to say?
Well, we've cut back. I got rid of, I used to probably have, close to the 18 to 20 mark, but now I sort of try and sit down around the 10 to 12 mark. So we're down to that at the minute. We've got a few, obviously we've still got a few older dogs there, but I've got I'm not having my next litter of pups come back, into the kennels until March next year. So we'll keep it nice and low until then, and then when them pups come back, there'll probably be numbers up again for a little while.
You're only about 35. You can't retire just yet. You haven't made that much money, have you?
No, I wish I said I could. Otherwise, then I'd have 0 dogs. But no, just nice and quiet. Just keep it nice and quiet.
Yep. You're probably making a lot of money on the golf course, and I know you've got a lot of followers over in the UK. Whenever they do the WA form, they just look for Paul Stuart. So you have got a big following, so keep that going. Is he a sort of dog that rostered off that you could keep him up for, do you think, for the Perth Cup Carnival next year, or do you think he will be retired before then?
Oh, it's hard to say. I mean, it's a long way away. He turns 4 in, I think it's like January, so he'd be well past his prime. But, I mean, he loves going around. If you look at the dog, he looks like he's about 10. He's a grey beard, but he gets around. He's very sound until, obviously, he done the stop attendant a few months back. But he's come back and he's been pretty sound, so we'll just keep poking along. If he wants to continue racing, we'll push along with him. And, he'll let me know when he's done. He's pretty good like that. If he's had enough, he's sort of a little bit slow off his bed. But at the minute, he's good as gold, and he's happy in what he wants to do. So we'll keep pushing on until he's had enough.
You know how tough it is from WA to get recognition on the East Coast. You must be really proud of your good mate Adam Smithson on what he was able to do. I know you've won the Top Gun before, but he went very close there on Saturday night.
Oh, he was massive. Yeah, he's done very well, Adam. He's to get 2 in, one in each race, it was a huge accomplishment, and both dogs went extremely well, especially Vice Grip. He was very stiff not to be winning, to be fair. So, he was massive, that dog, and I know Adam's, he's come back this week, but he's on that jet-setting path now. So, he's, I think, going back there for the Melbourne Cup, and he's got a dog in Hobart for the Hobart Thousands as well. So, he's up and about. He's got the dogs that they're performing at the time. So, while they're in a rich vein of form, you've got to capitalise on the best, because he's going as good as any other dog in the country at the minute. I mean, he's always performed well at Wentworth Park and his trips to Melbourne. So he's doing a tremendous job with them. So hopefully he can continue to roll that through into the Melbourne Cup Series.
Good on you, mate. Enjoy the week, enjoy your golf, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again soon.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Paul Stuart joining us on Greyhound Gossip. Speaking of the Top Gun, let's go back to the Top Gun sprint there on Saturday night at the Meadows.
Away and racing now, and wow, she's fast, only fair to go. Good speed underneath McInerney, and from the outside, Photo Man's going to cross and lead. Photo Man takes the lead and sprinted away. Led 3, McInerney, Vice Grip, and then Amron Boy. They sprint away to Zipping Kyrgios, then French Martini. Well back, Zippy Tesla, and wow, she's fast last, but the emergency rug again. Photo Man, a big leader in the Top Gun by 5 over McInerney. Vice Grip running on. Photo Man, he's all out, but he's clear, and Photo Man won the Top Gun. Photo Man by 2 lengths, McInerney, 3rd Vice Grip, and 4th Zipping Kyrgios.
So a brilliant run by Vice Grip, and well done to the connections of Photo Man Reserve. And we saw 2 reserves, Moraine Susie and also Photo Man, which is probably the first time in history that 2 reserves have taken out the Top Gun. Well, it is, I know, a fact, the first time in history. Only one other greyhound before has won as the reserve, and that was in a sprint a number of years ago. Jason Lincoln was there, and he can give us an update on what he thought of Vice Grip and also the big night of chasing there at the Meadows. Jason, good morning.
Hello, Pete. Hello, Leah. Hope you're all well. Yeah, it was a great night, and just caught the tail end of you talking to Paul Stewart there. Look, we'll touch on Photo Man first of all. Absolutely the honours with him, straight to the top. He just did everything right, but quite clearly the unlucky runner on the race was Vice Grip. And look, we said this from the get-go, didn't we, Pete? If Vice Grip was in 3 and McInerney was in 4, I would have just declared Vice Grip. And I think he should have just about won the race. The white was just a complete hindrance to him the entire way around. And had the audacity to keep finishing off. So winner, Photo Man, he gets all the kudos, but Vice Grip was enormous.
Well done to Adam, and on that run, and I know I'm biased, but on that run, I'll get your opinion. Surely he has to be well considered now in the thoughts of those looking for a slot for the Phoenix.
Well, he'll be well considered, but this might end up being a really good discussion here, Pete. So let's talk this out. There's already 2 dogs committed, so it leaves 6 slots. Queensland are running a series for theirs, so it leaves 5. You would assume Pearl's going to get a spot somewhere. Now, we don't know who that might be for at this stage, but I think we've had I can just tell you, we've had approaches from 3 slot holders in any case. Yep. So she'll be there. So that leaves 3 spots, Pedro. So I'd reckon if we include the dogs that ran 1, 2, 3 in the Top Gun, Photo Man, McInerney, Vice Grip, and we include Throttle, someone's going to miss out. So who should get the slot?
Well, I would say Throttle and also Vice Grip. I would put them ahead. I thought he was the certainly beaten Vice Grip there on Saturday night. You mentioned before about the 3, he continuously bumped, and when he was going to, and we know how strong he is, and I think that he's actually well suited at the Meadows. And I think the runners, I thought he almost led. Remember the Phoenix final last year? He almost crossed, almost led, and he almost did the same again there on Saturday night. If I had a slot, I'd certainly be giving him a run.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't knock anyone that was pushing him either. So it's going to get pretty hectic for those final few spots. Of course, I think it's Ned's or one of the other organisations have already committed to plaintiff, and I'm sure they're probably questioning the decision to jump in there early. Pedro, they might have liked a little crack at some of those dogs that went around the Top Gun themselves.
I'll get to Throttle in a moment, but Aston Velvet, we should mention him as well, and Moraine Susie. Zarbel, I thought, was excellent running 4th, and Aston Velvet was very good in the Hume Cup.
Yeah, so Aston Velvet in the Hume Cup, first of all, just a really good, honest greyhound, Aston Velvet. Variety of distances. Pocket Money had his chance in 2nd, and Wheel and Go ran well in 3rd. And then the Top Gun stayers, as you said, Moraine Susie getting the run. And once she got a low draw, Pete, she was always going to be a big player. Super Australia coming out, of course, robbed the race, I guess, of a bit of interest. And just having a look at the placings, I mean, Mapunga Ruby's run 2nd and Untapped's run 3rd. They've both come off very, very limited preparation. So you'd have to say in another day, another time, we may have got a different result with those 2. You touched on Zarbel. Looked like he was going to posse up 4th there early in a gun spot, got knocked over, was probably the unlucky runner of the race. So probably another one of those races, Pete, where if you run it another 4 or 5 times, you might get 4 or 5 different results.
Happy birthday to Jodie Jennings, who's celebrating a birthday today. She's the owner of Throttle, and she got an early birthday present because he flew around at Sandown in preparation for the Melbourne Cup heats. Well,
you don't get paid for it, Pete, but I take your point. Should have been absolutely elated to see him run 29.03, and not to make it about my dog all the time, but very interesting that Gatlin trialled there yesterday as well, Pete, and there was probably a very similar, well, not probably, there was a very, very similar disparity distance-wise between the time Gatlin ran there yesterday and what Throttle ran there yesterday, and the distance that Pearl beat Gatlin on Wednesday. So he's absolutely up with the best in the country. We've said it for ages. It's really just his lack of early pace, Pete. But if he's going to go around in the shootout, and you can, I guess, tell us whether he will, geez, he'll take some beating.
I think he will. I think he'll be there, and he's over with Calgrino at the moment. I believe David Bartson will be heading across within the coming weeks to take control of him again. But he's just got an exciting 6 weeks ahead of him, Throttle, and I think we'll see the best of him. And I think if you're with Vice Grip as well, you've got Wow, She's Fast, and also She's a Pearl, which we'll touch on in a moment. It's going to be an exciting Melbourne Cup and also the Phoenix Carnival.
Yeah, it is. Just on that shootout, and again, you might know the answer to this question, Pete. I don't know whether it's the best 4 dogs nominated in the opinion of the grader or whether it's on pure grading. And if it's on pure grading, he might have a problem getting in the race, Throttle.
No, I think it's on the grade. I think the grader's got discretion, which you'd be happy about because you've always been crying out for that.
Yeah. So they should.
I don't know for sure.
All right, well, I guess we'll find out on Thursday.
What I do know is we've got a new record holder as the greatest stake-earning greyhound, and congratulations to you, to Joe Lanuti and all of your co-owners, Jodie Lord, the trainer. But what a remarkable feat. She's had 38 starts. She's a Pearl, 25 wins, 7 placings, $1.367 million, and she's the richest stake earner. She was brilliant there the other night, 29.34. You'd be happy to have her back.
Yeah, absolutely, Pete, and that's sort of what we expected to see from her first start when she was unluckily beaten. I don't hold that against the winner of the race. He went out and did everything the way he had to, but she just got it wrong there for whatever reasons. But she was better there Wednesday, more like the Pearl of Old. That's her third quickest run around there ever. And, yeah, amazing achievement. I mean, we didn't think when we bought into her back at the start of this year in January, in fact, that by the end of the year we'd have the Greyhound of the Year and a Greyhound with the highest prize money earnings in history. So we're incredibly honoured, Pete, and we're incredibly humble about it. And it's probably, well, I don't want to get off too far off topic, but I think that we've always tried to maintain that modesty, Pete, and tried to remain humble because we all know those prize money records are, they're a moving target. We saw it with the horses, didn't we, Pete? And which is probably why I was a little bit miffed to read the article in the Recorder yesterday. It just seemed like a pot shot, really, at her. We're well aware that Fianna Bale raced in an era where there were no $1 million chases, and I think I said it on the pen last week, and I think I said it on your show last week, Pedro, as well. So I was just a little bit confused about the need to write that article. And
it was a ridiculous article.
To write that she's an immense talent, but the hoopla needs to be put into perspective. I mean, the first paragraph of his article is complaining that greyhound racing is not getting the attention that it deserves, and then a little bit later on, arguing that it was over the top about the dog breaking the record. I just jumped onto Google, actually, Pete, and there were 2 stories written about it. So if that's hoopla, we've got some issues in this game.
Yeah, I don't want to go too much on the negativity that the guy writes all the time about greyhound racing and then tries to say that we need to be more positive. But speaking of champions, number 12 on the list is Sweet It Is. Tornado Tears is 11. Tommy Shelby's 10 at $1,020,000. And then you go through Handsome Prince, Mystic Right, Dinah 111, McInerney at 6. Wow, She's Fast is currently 5. And then Fernando Bale, Good Odds Harada, Phantom Bale number 2. That is an elite group of greyhounds, and we know how good she is, and her stake money will hopefully grow in the next 6 weeks, and you'll be hoping it grows as well, because if it does grow, we're going to see the best of She's a Pearl during the Melbourne Cup Carnival.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And for all those reasons you just put forward, Pete, that's what, those names, dogs like Fernando Bale, etc. I mean, to be mentioned in that ilk, that's why, as I said, we try and remain pretty humble and pretty, we try and keep it in check. Obviously, on race night, when you win the big races, you've got to celebrate because, God, they're few and far between, Pete. I've owned a lot of slow dogs, so it's pretty exciting to get a dog like this. But, that's exalted company, and, we're just incredibly honoured.
So, Jason, I know you mentioned about, being humble and everything, but I did ask this question to Paul Stuart for different reasons. He doesn't own the richest greyhound in Australia, but will you be maybe retiring soon now that you've got this, you've got part ownership in the richest greyhound?
No,
I think WA would love to have you back here with your wife.
I've already told you, Leah. All you got to do is have a chat to the boss, get the offer sorted out, get the email sent over. I can't wait to get back over to WA. My wife, she's part-time here in New South Wales at the moment. She spent more time in WA this year than she has here in New South Wales. I'd love to get back over there. In terms of, retiring, look, I don't think my 5% of 50% of her earnings is going to quite cut it with my lifestyle, Leah, quite frankly.
The Melbourne Cup is next. When does she head down to Melbourne for the heats?
To be confirmed, Pete, but some talk that maybe Wednesday.
So she'll trial?
Definitely looking at a day this week to get her down there, trial her in preparation for the Cup. And then post the Cup, there's about 3 weeks, I think, to the Phoenix. So that'll, again, enable us enough time to get away to the Meadows and give her a look around there, and so she can become fully acquainted there and hopefully take her Sydney form down to Melbourne.
Well, we love her over here. We love you guys and the ride that you've been on. And don't worry about the people that want to knock you, because there's enough people that want to knock our sport, and we're doing our best to keep our sport going. And it's prosperous at the moment. The young guys that were out here on Saturday night, the young girls and guys that just love greyhound racing, it's on the up, and the turnover's showing that. And we're excited to see the Melbourne Cup Carnival with Wow, She's Fast, also She's a Pearl, and throw in Throttle and Vice Grip. We might even be able to get across there, and hopefully they all make the final. It'll be outstanding. Congratulations again to you and all the connections on She's a Pearl becoming the richest stake earner. Thanks for joining us this morning, and enjoy your week.
Yeah, thanks, Pete, and to you, Leah, as well. You guys have obviously been great supporters of Pearl and had us on plenty of times to talk about it this year, so I'm sure the viewers are getting a bit sick of us talking about it, but hopefully they've been able to cash in along the way, Pete.
Good on you. So that's Jason Lincoln joining us on Greyhound Gossip. We're off to Northam this morning, Leah. The first race gets underway just after lunchtime at 12:34, so we'll talk to you around about 12 o'clock with a preview of today's program. It's the final meeting of the season, and then we'll be back to night racing at Cannington over the summer period.
Yes, we're looking forward to the earlier start today, and we'll be chatting to you around midday. Pete, thank you very much.
Have a good day.